I have been using the Canon EOS R1 as my main camera for nature and wildlife photography for a bit more than a year now, which means that I have taken several hundred thousands of photos with it. I have been in snowy conditions with temperatures well below the freezing point, snowstorms actually, in rain, in harsh light, and recently also in Australia and Singapore in more tropical climate. And all in all, I can really say the camera just delivers. And it's a joy to use it, but there are also some things that I really don't like about this camera. So in this video I want to talk about my long-term experiences with the Canon R1 and also give you kind of a recommendation if the camera might be something for you or not. So I divided the video in kind of 5 things or features that I really like about the R1 and 5 things that I don't like. Let's start with the positive things, and the first one is clearly the body and the handling. It's hard to describe, but I just feel the R1 sits perfectly in my hands. It's a joy to use. The buttons are placed nicely and can also be used with gloves very well, except maybe the 2 buttons in front. I think it's FN1 and FN2. From my taste, they could have been a bit more farther apart. It's no problem without gloves, but with gloves it's a bit trickier to touch the proper one. Of course, one of the highlights is the smart controller that has this touchpad where you can move the autofocus point around, and at the same time it also functions as an AF on button. The R3 already had this smart controller, but with the R1 now it's improved and it actually features like 2 levels of pressing the button, a bit similar as with the shutter where half pressing starts the metering and fully pressing then takes the picture. And this means you can put different functions on this. For example, I put on the first level of pressing that the camera starts the eye autofocus in zone 3 with specific servo characteristics, and when I fully press it keeps these autofocus settings, but on top of it it changes the frame rate to 40 frames per second, so great if I have some action. I actually didn't use the touchpad of the smart controller so often because I just realized that I was accidentally moving it a bit too much, but I know other people that love it. Compared to other newer Canon EOS R cameras, I also like the position of the photo-video switch because I can easily switch between photo and video when hand-holding a long telephoto lens, something that is not possible with the Canon EOS R5 or R6 Mark II or Mark III. And the built-in GPS is also nice. I think for the last few years I still remember where I took the pictures, but maybe in 10 years I will have forgotten some things, so nice to come back at some point and see exactly where you took the picture. Finally, I had the camera in very different environmental conditions, and I cannot recall that I ever used like a lens coat in rain or something, or in the snowy conditions. The camera just feels incredibly robust. I just see at some points where I touched some rocks or something that some of the paint is gone, but otherwise it feels extremely robust and I don't need to worry when I'm out in the field shooting. Usually I go back in because it's getting too rainy for me and I don't need to worry so much about the camera. The second thing I absolutely love about this camera is the viewfinder. It's hands down the best viewfinder, the best electronic viewfinder I have ever used. It has a magnification of 0.9, which is significantly bigger than the R5 or R5 Mark II's viewfinder with 0.76 magnification, or even the Nikon Z8 and Z9 that have a magnification of 0.8. And the resolution of 9.6 million dots is just amazing. And the resolution also doesn't go down if you increase the frame rate of the viewfinder for having a smoother experience. So it's just the viewfinder, the electronic viewfinder that looks most like a optical viewfinder, like in a good kind, the one that looks least like a digital screen to me. The R1 has primarily been produced for press and sport photography, and of course there you need a fast frame rate and a really reliable autofocus. And in terms of autofocus, I have the impression that the R1 might be the best camera on the market at the moment. Many of the mirrorless cameras are on a very high level, but if I compare it, for example, with the R5 Mark II, which is maybe the second best in my opinion, maybe shared with a Sony A1 Mark II or something, I feel the R1 is just more robust. In some situations, like low light photography, if you don't have much contrast, the R1 is clearly better. And something where the R5 Mark II and also the original R5 and many Canon cameras seem to struggle, they struggle more than the Sony cameras, is direct backlight, especially if there is some kind of these bokeh ball effects that you get if you shoot in direct sunlight at the sea or on other water surfaces or in a meadow with wet grass, then these cameras struggle a bit more, and I feel the R1 is clearly performing more robust here. It reminds me a bit more of the Sony cameras. And when it comes to subject detection, I'm actually confident that the R1 is at the moment the best camera on the market. And I have a very similar feeling for the next point, which is image quality. The camera has a 24 megapixel stacked sensor with a very fast readout, meaning that rolling shutter is significantly reduced compared to an R5, of course, or even an R5 Mark II. And the image quality is also very good. And you see this especially if you start pushing the ISO. And I'm not talking about 1600 ISO, but more 12,800 ISO, 25,600. These are still usable, completely usable for me. And of course, you can take the pictures with the R5 Mark II or so. Nowadays, with noise reduction software, you can get away with quite a lot. But what sets the R1 apart is not only that the files show less noise. I feel like the color rendition is much better, the dynamic range is larger, and this is something you cannot easily recover in post, like you can just reduce the noise. So whenever it comes to low light situations, I really like the R1, and I think at the moment it's probably the best camera on the market for low light photography. Nevertheless, of course, if I use 25,000 or 32,000 ISO, I still use some noise reduction software in the post-processing, and I still use DxO Pure 5 for that. If you're curious, I put a link with a free trial down in the description, and until the end of the year you can also get a small reduction if you use the coupon code that I linked below. The last positive thing that I want to mention about the R1 is that it has two CF Express Type B card slots, and I just prefer this a lot over this kind of mixed slots that the Z8 or the R5 Mark II has, because it means I can shoot redundantly to two cards. And if I have one SD card, this is just not possible, because the SD card is really the limiting factor when it comes to speed. And also SD cards are so expensive. CF Express cards are much cheaper than a really fast SD card. So I'm really happy with this. And since I've had the R1, I've always been shooting on both cards in parallel. I know the chances of a CF Express card failing are rather low, but it still just gives me a better, a more safe feeling to know that I have an instant backup of all my files. So let's move to some negative points. And the first one is the button configuration. And maybe you think like, but Fabian, you just mentioned that you like the buttons that the camera has, how many it has, and the wheels. That's all true, but I feel like it's software limited. For example, the white balance and exposure compensation button here on top, both of them can only be used for exactly this specific function. They cannot be changed in the menu system of the camera, which I find a bit annoying, because they would be in a good position to assign a different function to it that I use more often. Because to be honest, I shoot RAW. I don't care so much about the white balance. If I want to change it, I can go into the quick menu, do it there. I would like to have a more important function on this button, but it's not possible. And the exposure compensation button just doesn't work in manual mode with automatic ISO, which is super weird for me. And I know the R3 has the same, and I really don't know why, because you cannot reassign the button, but also it doesn't work. And the funny thing is, if you assign the exposure compensation function to another button, it works. Additionally, I would also like to assign pre-capture to the touch of a button. I believe this is possible with the R6 Mark III now, so I hope that some of these things might be changed via a firmware update in the future. The next a bit annoying point is the startup time of the camera if I have a lot of files on the CF Express card. So in the beginning I used the 1 terabyte card with this camera. This gives me space for I think around 60,000 photos in C-RAW, which is a lot, and it's great for longer trips that I just have a copy always in the camera. but the problem is the camera gets really slow on the startup. It takes 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds if the card has 10,000 of pictures. So in the end, I never really used this 1 terabyte. I ended up formatting the card when I had like 400 or 500 gigabytes on it, because it was just getting too slow, and I had a few occasions where I missed some moments because the camera was off. I turned it on and it took these extra seconds. So now I'm using 512 gigabyte cards. I will link the cards that I'm using below if you are interested to get an affordable CF Express card. The next thing can definitely not be changed via firmware update, and this is the integrated battery grip. Don't get me wrong, overall I like the feeling of having it, especially if I shoot in the vertical position. But the problem is, first of all, the camera takes much more space in the backpack. I have a backpack where I can easily fit, or quite easily, 2 R5 Mark II with the 600mm and the 100-300. But once I add the R1 into the mix, instead of one of the R5 Mark IIs, it gets very complicated. So this is a bit tricky. And then if I want to go for a really low shooting perspective, for a low shooting angle, ground level stuff, often not only with the 600 but more with the smaller lens like the 100-300 or maybe even the 100-500, the battery grip can really go in the way. I had some situations where I kind of pushed it a bit into the mud just to get a bit lower. I just want to mention it. It's not a problem of the camera. Just be aware, for some situations the integrated battery grip might be amazing. For other situations maybe not, and you just need to figure out what works best for you. And this kind of determines if the R1 is a good choice for you or not. The next thing I'm not 100% happy with is the monitor, the rear screen. So it has 2.1 million dots, which is less than the R3 for some reason, but it's perfectly fine for me. I like the sharpness and everything. It's more the mechanism, how it flips out. So first of all, I like that it flips out to the front as well, because personally as a YouTuber, I need that a lot. And if it would have a screen like the Z8 or Z9, I probably would not have bought the camera. However, I would have preferred something like the Sony screens that basically have the best from the Nikon and Canon screens combined. You can stay on the optical axis if you are doing some low level photography for like waterfowl or something. At the same time, you can also flip it out for some situations. Finally, the last negative point is a bit hard to explain. It's just the feeling that it feels sometimes a bit like an R3 Mark II and not an R1. And it's really hard to explain. I'm very happy with the camera, but the wow effect is sometimes missing. So the R3 had 24 megapixels with 30 frames per second, and I would have wished that Canon would have gone for 40 frames per second and maybe 30 megapixels. Maybe this would have kind of jeopardized the low light performance too much. I get that. Then we stick with 24 megapixels, but then why only bumping it from 30 to 40 frames? Why can we not have maybe 50 or 60 frames per second? Of course, it's only a small fraction of the images where I actually need this high frame rate, but sometimes you could just have more wing positions. You can have the beak open. If two birds are fighting with each other, I would actually prefer having more than 40 frames per second. And it just feels weird that the Canon R5 Mark II has a higher throughput than the Canon R1. So here you have my thoughts to the R1. If there's a question that I didn't answer in the video, please let me know in the comments. I also linked the camera in the video description. If you pick one up over this link, you would just support my channel a little bit. And please also check out my autofocus ebook with the best tips to get really the most out of the autofocus system.